For the next 45 minutes, Dr. Ravi Batra is going to be with us. He is professor of economics at Southern Methodist University, the international best-selling author of numerous books, including The New Golden Age, The Coming Revolution Against Political Corruption and Economic Chaos, and The New Golden Age? No, that's not right. And for some reason, Ravi, Dr. Batra, I have your book here written down twice. It's, what's the title? I'm sorry, the title of your other book?
Greenspan's Fraud, remember that?
Oh, Greenspan's Fraud. Thank you so much. Yes. Well, actually, one of my very favorite books. It's just been a while since I said it out loud, and I don't know. I guess we're all getting older here. Anyhow, Greenspan's Fraud. And great to have you back with us, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
So, Cyprus, this is the front page story in the New York Times. I just printed it. I was going to share a piece. Well, actually, I can read it from the screen. The Cypriot Parliament on Tuesday overwhelmingly repudiated a $10 billion international bailout package that would have set an extraordinary precedent by taxing ordinary depositors to pay part of the bill. Basically, if I have this right, the European Union was saying to Cyprus, you owe us $10 billion. We're going to loan you $10 billion to stay liquid, to stay, so that, basically because unemployment's so high, so that you can pay your unemployment costs and healthcare costs and whatnot for people who are no longer working, and because the banksters crashed the economy. We're going to loan you that money, but you need to pay it back to us by taking money out of everybody's checking account. The Cypriots said, no, we're not going to do that. We can get into where that's going to go, but I'm curious your thoughts on what would have happened if they had said yes and said, okay, everybody's going to they're going to lose 6 or 8 or 9% of the money in their checking account and savings account.
If they had said yes, then that would set a very bad precedent for banking in Europe. It's not just Cyprus. Then you have Greece, Italy, Portugal, Spain. Banks are in trouble, in all these countries, and then the depositors wouldn't be sure about their deposits anymore. So if they had said yes, it would have been very bad for the entire euro. And I think it's a wise move on their part to reject it. But the question now is what's next? And those people who proposed this measure, they either have to eat crow or keep pushing for it, and that means the crisis will go on for perhaps another week.
Yeah. Had the Cypriots done this, would that not have led to a run on the banks in Cyprus?
Well, they would have a bank holiday,
right?
And so they would not allow any withdrawals from the banks for a little while.
Right.
But it would set a bad precedent for the entire eurozone because the banks are stretched out in almost in UK, in France, not in Germany, but almost everywhere else. The banks have a lot of problems.
Right. So you could see other countries doing this, and at that point, the people of Europe are going to start saying, we can't trust our own banks, and then you're going to see something that's going to look like 1930, late 32, early 33 here in the United States, isn't it? Wouldn't you?
That's right, and that's the thing that this would have been. This would have set a precedent for that, and there would have been runs on banks, and so who knows where it would have gone. But the crisis is still not over because the problem is that Cyprus is a special situation. It gets a lot. The banks there get a lot of money from Russian depositors, and there is a lot of money laundering there. So the Germans have to pay the money eventually for the bailout.
Right.
So they were saying, why should we protect the Russians? So it's a lot more complicated than just a run on the bank.
Cyprus is for the Russians what the Bahamas or the Cayman Islands are for American. Russian billionaires are using Cyprus as a way to stash their money and avoid paying taxes on it, the same way that American billionaires are using the Cayman Islands to stash their money and avoid paying taxes on it. Do I have that right?
That's right, and that's why the Germans are so reluctant to bail out Cyprus without extracting some kind of cost from that country, because the Russians are involved, and then the elections are coming up in Germany, I think in September. So there are a lot of other factors also involved in the whole scenario.
Wow, we're back to Hitler and Stalin. I mean, we're back to Russia and Germany, at loggerheads. And in fact, I mean, this parallel is a little spooky, but today, this is the front page story in the New York Times. The headline, Cyprus rejects bank deposit tax, scuttling bailout deal. And let me just read two sentences from this. They're talking about the crowds out in front of the Cypriot parliament, when they turned this thing down. Some wielded unflattering, and they're talking about the protesters, some wielded unflattering posters of Chancellor Angela Merkel of Germany a day after a demonstrator breached security at the German embassy and climbed to the roof, throwing down the German flag. Quote, a pensioner, Demetrius, 67, who would only give his first name, said, quote, today, Germany is engaging in Nazism again, not with the weapon of force, but with money, end quote. This is, we had a fellow from Greece on our TV show back, 4 or 5 months ago, who was talking about how basically with the euro, what's happened is that the euro is the old Deutschmark, that the Germans have won World War II. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, that's the whole problem, that all over the world there are economic troubles. Wages are stagnant while productivity keeps rising, so you have excess production everywhere. Goods are not selling. So the rich are getting richer because of all these, because of the current economic system. So the very rich countries like Germany have to bail out those that can't afford the current system the way it is. And bailing out is not that. I mean, the Germans they have been bailing out these countries for a long time now. So they have, and their patience is running out, they're running thin, patience is running thin. So the problem is with the fundamental economic system, and until they reform the system, this will keep on going. Mm-hmm. And so far they have been stabilized. They have stabilized the system by using all these gimmicks, so much budget deficit, so much printing of money, not just in Europe, but also in the United States, and in fact all over the world. But this can't keep on going forever. And slowly, we are approaching the day when our system is going to collapse. And I have put a date on it. I have said it should be around 2016, or by that time, the system would collapse. Because
internationally,
right. There are cracks everywhere in the world, and they are patching up these cracks through borrowed money. And how long can debt go on? It's not possible to go on forever.
Yeah. Is the United States relatively immune from this because we control our own currency?
Yes, the U.S. being the key currency area, can borrow almost unlimited amounts from China, Japan, and even the Federal Reserve. But even there is revolt against huge budget deficits, and the budget deficit is coming down. In an economy where wages are stagnant and productivity keeps rising sharply, whenever the budget deficit starts to fall, it takes about 6 to 8 months before trouble strikes. The budget deficits began to fall in Europe about a year ago, and now they're back to recession and things are getting worse.
So when our budget deficits fall, we're going to have a problem. Let's continue this after the break. We're talking with Dr. Ravi Batra. His website, ravibatra.com, RAVIBATRA.com. Professor of Economics at Southern Methodist University, author of the international best-selling books, The New Golden Age and Greenspan's Fraud.